Welcome to the You Can Man podcast, episode 19. I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dave.
And on this week's episode, Chick-fil-A. It's My Pleasure, Part 2.
All right, guys, welcome back on Part 2 of our Chick-fil-A series here with our special guest, Josh Young, who's an owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Thousand Oaks, Moore Park Road. Yes. Josh is a longtime friend of ours and a longtime listener of You Can Man.
A loyal listener, right?
Yeah. So Josh is obviously, he's from California, but he was in town. So we thought, man, we need to take opportunity to interview him on how he became a Chick-fil-A operator. So part one, you heard all about how Josh started working at Chick-fil-A when he's 15 years old.
Squeezing lemons,
all working his way all the way up to owning his own Chick-fil-A. So if you missed that one, definitely check that one out first. Go ahead and hit pause on this one and check out episode 18. And Josh gives his full story of how he became a Chick-fil-A operator. So we wanted to jump back into where we were on part one. And so, Josh, talk to us. So you just got the store in Thousand Oaks, California. This was coming up on 3 years ago now, right?
5 years ago.
How was I that far off? Wow, time flies. Okay, so like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So talk to us. This is a brand new store built from the ground up.
Yeah.
So you had the opportunity for the grand opening. This is California emerging market. So talk to us about the excitement around that and how successful your grand opening was and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we went out in February. I think I told you that we were selected in January. I keep saying we. The reason I say we is because I am the owner operator of title, but it really is like a family thing. I mean, my wife Mallory, I would not be a Chick-fil-A operator right now if she hadn't been
on board
with me.
She's the first lady.
I mean, she was like, when we went to that location in Philadelphia, she was up front smiling, making sure customers were happy. And I was back fixing equipment and showing people how to make coleslaw and carrot and raisin salad, which we don't have anymore.
Now when you see her later today, when she says, did you talk about me?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But so after we were selected that February, maybe a month later, we went out to Thousand Oaks. We took a trip. It was specifically to go there, spend some time with the existing owner operator that was already in the town because there was already a location there, which is pretty rare in California for a mid-sized town to have two locations. Even now is pretty rare, but it definitely was rare then. We spent some time with them, got to know them, and then just started looking around for places to live, housing. Then we officially came out in April of 2014. We moved out there, and at the time, the building was up, the whole frame was up, but they didn't have windows yet. It was just kind of they were done with the big framing part of it, but they weren't done with anything inside.
How much say did you have on any kind of aesthetics with the building? Any sort of special things that you could get that other Chick-fil-A's didn't have?
Really nothing. I mean, it's so standardized because they have, I mean, our location has a lot of particular finishes that the city required for it to fit into the code or whatever. Yeah. But as far as the construction and where stuff goes, it's pretty much laid out. They have a whole department at Chick-fil-A that's devoted to design and construction, and they figure out all those things and how it's going to flow best. So I got to tell them where I wanted the coat rack to go on the wall. They provided a 32-inch flat screen monitor for putting if you want to announce team member birthdays and that kind of stuff. I told them where I wanted that to go, where we're going to keep.
But it's pretty set in stone.
Pretty much set in stone. Yeah. So we were actually on a trailer, so I didn't have the keys yet. It was still the whole place is operated by the construction company at that point, and they rent a trailer for me and two people from Chick-fil-A that are called grand opening supervisors.
Oh, that sounds like a cool job.
Yeah, so that's the new 2-year program that I was in.
Okay.
You either do grand openings where you help an incoming operator open up the restaurant and hire people and all that kind of stuff, or you run a company-owned location and you do probably a mixture of those over the 2 years.
Okay.
So I had these two guys that came. We sat in this trailer for a month, basically.
Are you interviewing
Monday
people?
through Friday? Yeah. So we put up a sign, now hiring. People come and get an application. It was kind of slow going, honestly. I mean, like I said before, Chick-fil-A was still pretty new out there. And we were set to be, Ventura County is a big county. That's the county that we're in, just north of LA County. I don't even know how many people live in Ventura County. It's like 1 million, 800,000, 1 million.
Did you have any prospective employees that came in and they had never tried Chick-fil-A?
Oh, yeah. Tons. There were people that had no idea like what we even, I mean, they knew we were some sort of restaurant, but they had no idea. And so I would say, hey, there's one like 3.5 miles down the road. Why don't you guys go check it out? Like, let me know what you think. But plenty of people that came that had never had it.
Y'all should send those Cali kids to Georgia when they get hired on to get indoctrinated. Then you bring them back.
Yeah, they can have like the full experience. Yeah, for sure. So we sat in that trailer and we interviewed people, and we were like signing contracts with vendors and stuff, like the people that are going to do our landscaping or plumbing, like all the different people that you need to call and at least have a contact for whenever something happens. So we got that all set up, hired all the people, and then got down to the grand opening week, and we were opening the week of Memorial Day on a Thursday. So like we just passed 5 years last month. I had hired about 75 people at that point.
Wow.
Which I don't know if that sounds like a lot.
That sounds like an insane amount. 75 people for one store?
Yeah. So that ended up being too many for me at the time, but now I have 75 again, and it's the right amount, maybe just shy of what we need based on the size of our restaurant and how many different positions we have.
Just a lot of people to manage.
I mean, there are some Chick-fil-A's here in Atlanta and other parts of the country too that have like in one location have over 100, like 120.
Wow. I never would have guessed.
Yeah. So we grand opened, on the night before the grand opening, they do like a camp out where everybody camps out. And if you stay the whole night, the next day you get free Chick-fil-A for a year.
Yep.
So we had that. We had like 150 people show up, and they do a raffle for the 100 spots or whatever.
I don't know how I haven't done that before. That's easy.
Something that I learned, there's people that's what they do. Like maybe they're retired or something like that. You heard of these people. They'll just travel around the country and go to all these Chick-fil-A openings. It sounded super weird, but also is a testament to how crazy raving fans that you have for Chick-fil-A, that these people just, that's their fun thing to do. Oh, there's a new Chick-fil-A opening. Let's go on a road trip and go sit out in front of it for 3 days.
This couple, though, there's a specific couple that like kind of made that story, and I can't remember, they're somewhere from the Southeast, but they drove around and they had this, they didn't come to ours, but they had this, like, they always told about how like they were giving those free meals away all the time. Like they give them to their family and friends, and they always talked about Chick-fil-A. I mean, they were like telling
ambassadors
all over the place about Chick-fil-A, and they're driving all over the country to these openings. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, people camped out. The next morning I was obviously like, it's like 6 a.m. day one. I couldn't sleep the night before.
Get to work.
I'm like, I show up there, and the owner is the one who hands out all the free, boxes that have the Chick-fil-A sandwich card. They have like a single card now because you can put it on your app instead of having to like, when I did it, it was literally a stack of 52 of those.
Get a brick.
Yeah. And it wasn't even plastic cards. It was like those old school paper, like rectangular Be Our Guest cards.
And you can still gift those from the app. I think a lot of people don't know that. You can actually send, you can gift someone from the app. I'm pretty sure you can.
Maybe so.
You should know this, Josh.
I should know that, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that
we'll
you
look
can.
into it.
I've got a couple free things. I'll see if I can give them to you.
Yeah. Anytime.
You said 52 cards, so is that you get a meal a week?
A meal a week, yeah.
That's awesome.
So they still do that. They do a few different things now, but that's still one of the things that they do. So yeah, we opened, and I would say, if Chick-fil-A is not quite as popular in California as it is here in terms of people knowing what it is, Chick-fil-A breakfast is like a tenth as popular as Chick-fil-A in general in California is. So
Yeah, like I'm going to eat fried chicken for breakfast.
so
What?
imagine, so just say like
So
100.
they're not into breakfast, is what you're saying.
They're not into chicken for
They're not into
breakfast.
Chick-fil-A for
Okay.
breakfast. I mean, imagine like if your Chick-fil-A here, 100 people come for breakfast, like 10 maybe were coming for breakfast.
Interesting.
I can see that because
at
it's
my
not
Chick-fil-A.
it's not a breakfast food, right? Like traditional. It's not a traditional thing you would eat for
Yeah,
breakfast.
but we've got sausage and bacon and eggs.
Well,
and,
look, you are sold out on
anyways,
Chick-fil-A.
Of course,
so.
of course. Fried chicken for breakfast is sometimes a hard sell in other parts of the country. I will admit, but once people try it,
Oh, yeah.
If you
There's
can just
no
get
going
it,
back.
if you can just get them to, we always talk about
Get
like,
them those minis, they'll be hooked.
yeah, we always talk about how like we give away tons of food like to schools and all different types of organizations and different events. And it's specifically for us, if we can do breakfast, we always say if we can just get that taste in their mouth of Chick-fil-A, they will come
they'll be
back. Like
hooked.
they just have to know that.
Yeah,
how
I was
good it
gonna
is.
ask you. So since California is an emerging market, you said you had employees that would or prospective employees that never even tried it before. So you got to experience hundreds of people experiencing Chick-fil-A for the first time. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders too, because you can't screw this up, right? Food quality's got to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
But how was that? Was there any like interesting stories of someone that had never tried it before? They come in, they eat it, and they're like, "This is incredible." Any of that?
I can't remember any stories like that. I do remember in those opening weeks and months, we actually had a survey done at our location that was like to see like if they opened another location close by, what would the impact be? They do these kind of like surveys to determine market area and stuff. So Chick-fil-A sent somebody from their agency that does that. And I got the report back and they said like 1 out of 5 people that eat with you has not only never eaten at your Chick-fil-A, they've never had Chick-fil-A before. 1 out of every 5 of your customers based on the data that they got. So I took that information and I remember on the front counter before the lunch would start, I'd kind of have the cashiers turn toward me and say, "Hey guys, listen, 1 out of every 5 people probably has never had Chick-fil-A before. So make sure, like, give them time, explain the menu, make suggestions." And there was definitely this huge opportunity to just introduce people to something that they never had before. And I think our strategy in the beginning was if somebody called and asked for a donation, the answer was yes. I mean, we didn't say no in that first year because it was like, people have to find out who we are and what we do. So we sponsored the local high school is 3 miles up the road from us. Every single team, group, organization got free Chick-fil-A. We fed the football team, the band, the chorus, dance team, baseball. I mean,
Gotta get it
basketball.
out there, right?
We had Chick-fil-A banners for free. Well, it wasn't for free. I paid for the food, but we had Chick-fil-A banners everywhere at every stadium or whatever, just trying to get people to try it. And there's like this, I think there's this idea, there's an operator in California named Sean who has 2 locations in Corona. And he's actually a podcaster too. I'll tell you guys about that.
Ooh, okay.
Very cool.
But yeah, he has this idea that like if something just has like a big presence, like if you see it everywhere, you start to think it's really big. And so when Chick-fil-A first came to California, this is a long time ago, 2004 or 5. But when Chick-fil-A first came to California, he was kind of part of one of the original locations out there. And he said, if we can just make Chick-fil-A be this thing that is really big and it's kind of everywhere, then people start to think it's big and then people start to go there more often because they think it's kind of this big deal. So his strategy was just give as much as you can away. Like, yeah, you're going to eat it in the beginning. It's going to cost you. But the long run of the incremental growth that you get and really the exponential growth that you get is pretty incredible. So
That's awesome. So you opened a store, brand new store. Needless to say, it has become very successful. And at the end of this, we're going to talk about some of those perks about being a super successful operator. But in the meantime, let's get into some questions that we fielded from social media and friends and family who we told we were going to have a Chick-fil-A insider on. Let's get into some of those. Dave, do you have any that come to mind here first off?
Well, really, I'm very interested in the first one we have here on the list. Why did they do away with the carrot salad? I feel like I can answer that. It's because nobody ate it, right? I didn't even know you guys had a carrot salad.
Had raisins
it's
in
because
it.
everybody listening right now is like, carrot salad?
Yeah, well,
What
that's
is a
my
carrot
thought,
salad?
right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I tell people like, Chick-fil-A is always reviewing the menu and determining like what are things that sell well and what are things that don't sell well. Carrot and raisin salad was one of those things that it's kind of like this old Southern recipe. Like it's something that like, you know, your grandma made.
Right.
If you live in the South.
If you live in the South, because it's got like a ton of sugar and mayonnaise and carrots and raisins and pineapple juice, and that's it. And they actually gave out the recipe when we pulled it off the menu so people could make it if they wanted to. It wasn't like a big secret.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, I mean, if you liked it so much, you should have just ordered more of it. Obviously, you didn't order enough because they rolled off the menu.
And isn't that one of Chick-fil-A's not secrets to success, but it's just a smart business practice on their part, is keeping that menu like very tight and tidy, so that
in fact,
you're not
like,
trying to do too much.
We tried that smokehouse barbecue sandwich earlier. Chick-fil-A was hesitant for a long time to roll out these limited time only things like a summer offering or a winter offering, and they still only do it very selectively. But yeah, the menu is pretty tight, and we do add things from here and there, and we do take things away as needed. But the goal is to try to provide the best opportunity for customers to try to have a lot of different options, but also to give our team members the opportunity to have less complexity. So, I mean, if you guys have ever been to a Chick-fil-A during the middle of the lunch rush, you see how much business they're going through.
Yeah,
reducing complexity is huge for somebody in the kitchen or the front counter, because if I'm trying to learn as a brand new kitchen person how to do 100 different items, that's going to take a long time. I can get really good at a handful of things pretty quickly, but I can't get really good at 100 different things. You go to a restaurant that has this huge, expansive menu. There's a chance that the guy back in the back has never made one of those things before who's making it, or they're having to follow a guide to like even prepare it. Yeah. We don't want that. We want it to be like very simple. It's delicious. If you do it right, it's perfect. But it's basic. It's easy.
Nice.
Makes sense.
So another item like that we had many requests for, spicy chicken biscuits. What happened? What's up with that? Yeah, the
spicy chicken biscuit was one of my favorites too. There are some places in the Southwest, not in the LA market, but there are some places in the Southwest that still have it. So that one was kind of interesting. It came down to a vote based on your market area. So like, I hate to break all you guys' hearts, but the Atlanta area operators, if you don't have it in Atlanta, I'm assuming,
we
right?
voted it down.
The Chick-fil-A owners in Atlanta said, we're not going to serve this. Wow. Now, they didn't just say it because they're like, we don't like this thing. It doesn't taste good. They said it because the sales data was not convincing. Yeah, it was like such a small percentage of the breakfast business.
So if we want to see it again here, we have to go petition all of our Atlanta area operators.
I think they do give us the opportunity every year to kind of like re-up that vote or whatever. So there are a couple like optional condiments. Like we serve guacamole in LA in little packs. It's like holy guacamole. You rip the top off and for fries or put on a sandwich or whatever.
Okay.
And so, but you can't get that here.
No.
Some places in the Northeast, they sell like a cheese sauce. They dip your fries in like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
These are all this is new stuff.
I had never heard of that. So the guacamole comes in the same thing that like the ketchup packet would come in? Sort
of similar. Yeah, it's slightly bigger than that. And it's like it's like a 99 cents or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that stuff, then I give it away for free.
Yeah. It's not like a dipping sauce. But
my cousin has like half of his New York apartment stacked with Chick-fil-A sauces.
Well, I think it reminds me of when the barbecue sauce changed, and I think people need to get angry about the spicy chicken biscuit, because I feel like people got angry about the barbecue sauce.
I'm not kidding. My wife stopped going to Chick-fil-A. And she emailed corporate about the barbecue sauce.
Okay, so she was frustrated about the original one going away, or about the
as was everybody else.
Well, she didn't like the new one.
Right. Okay.
She liked her original. It changed. No bueno.
All right. Yeah. So that's one of those things that where like so many customers talked about it that literally it was like one of the first. I mean, I won't say the first time, because when Truett made the original chicken sandwich in the Hapeville Dwarf House, across from the Ford plant, like all he did was make a bunch of different recipes and hand it to his customers there and say, try this. What do you think? Try this. What do you think? And they're the ones who perfected the recipe for him. He always gave the people what they wanted. But this is one of the first times where something viral, like really internet based, actually caused Chick-fil-A to say, hey, let's think about this. And there was somebody from corporate actually made like a response video to one of the YouTube videos where this guy was ranting about not having it.
We saw that. It was very good.
He made the reply to it and said, hey, we listen. We're going to do this for you. And they did. I mean, it was, and I actually like the smokehouse barbecue, but I didn't eat the barbecue sauce a lot anyways.
If they just offered both.
Well, now that's it. So the barbecue sauce that was on that sandwich that we had today is the smokehouse barbecue.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that'd be confusing if you had both, but I liked the barbecue sauce on there. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. It's not that it was bad. It's that the other one went away.
The other one went away. The other one, the original is very good, and it was change, and I don't like change. But
speaking of sauces, Chick-fil-A sauce, I told you guys in the previous episode about how I went to this Chick-fil-A in Virginia that was in 1977. The original owner of that Chick-fil-A.
Well, that opened in 1977.
It opened in 1977. I took it over in 2008.
Right.
The original owner of that Chick-fil-A from 1977 till 2003 or 4 is the guy who invented the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Really?
You guys know we didn't have 12 years ago, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it's fairly new.
He invented it. So, I mean, we went through cases and cases of that stuff.
That's crazy. Did he get the local people hooked on it?
Oh, yeah. They sold it in mason jars and stuff.
And he would make it in the back. And I remember you telling me that was not, it was kind of one of those things they knew. Chick-fil-A corporate kind of knew it was happening, but they're like, yeah.
Like today, if I tried to do Chick-fil-A is way more advanced and tons of legal and all that kind of stuff. If I tried to just chef something in the kitchen and then started handing out to customers, they'd be like, give us your keys. Your job is done here. We're going to go home. You can't just sell anything.
And I remember you telling me that you would, once I did introduce Chick-fil-A sauce, then you had it was that had to come in the packets and stuff. So obviously you weren't making that in that store.
Yeah.
But you also told me that if you were ever to have run out, because it was very popular then, people would order their food and then you would tell them, yeah, we're actually out of that. And they'd be like, I can't do this.
Have any of you guys ever asked for a refund if a restaurant was out of a sauce?
I've never gone that far, but I felt like
you can be frustrated. I understand, but in Fredericksburg, Virginia, run out of Chick-fil-A sauce, and you're giving people their money back.
That's crazy! Wow.
My manager called. I was at home. It was 9:00 on a holiday Saturday night. My manager called me and said, "Hey, they're we're out," and I was like, "We'll be okay. Just offer honey mustard or whatever." And he's like, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this? Because the last 5 orders have all asked for their money back."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "I'll figure it out." So I drove all around Fredericksburg borrowing Chick-fil-A sauce to get us through the night.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. So we had a question about the Chick-fil-A calendar. That was a big deal. I know my mom and my mother-in-law love those Chick-fil-A cow calendars. What's up?
I honestly didn't know that was gone.
Really?
Has it been a while?
No, this is the first year that it hasn't been available.
All right.
Yeah, that was a tough decision too. I think Chick-fil-A, ultimately what it ended up becoming is purchasing a discount card for Chick-fil-A. It was, the calendar was funny, but you read through it right when you get it, and then it probably
no, you're just ripping the stuff out of there,
and you're using that card to get your free thing every month. And Chick-fil-A's strategy is we always lead with generosity. So the idea of purchasing a discount card is totally foreign to our way of doing business. Okay. So like I said earlier, we love giving free food away. We love taking care of people, but selling a discount card just is not what we wanted to do. So it coincided really great with the rollout of our Chick-fil-A One app because you get free stuff on there a lot, where Chick-fil-A operators literally go onto their portal, and if you've eaten there, they can choose you and say, I'm going to send you this free whatever, and it goes straight to you. Or you can choose a big group of people. I have about 5,000 people that are in my kind of portal, that have used their Chick-fil-A app at my location in the past couple months. And I can go on and divide that group into a few different groups and send people offers based on what we're promoting at the time and send them something for free.
Nice.
So you're probably going to get more stuff for free now than you did.
So you could give an individual person some deal or something, or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I could go in and choose a name out of the list of 5,000 or whatever and send that person something.
Tim's eyes were just lighting up when he realized.
The ultimate
No, I was just thinking thanks, Chris Darley.
Yeah, because he may have sent you something specific.
Yeah, probably not.
Or his marketing director. You never know.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, really the goal is to be able to say if we get to the point where we have even 50% of our customers use the app, then customer recovery becomes a conversation and a click of a button. So instead of saying, "Oh, well, we left your fry out, so sorry about that," if you want to come back, you can get it, or we'll put your name in the computer and you can come get it next time, or we'll give you some, or we'll send you something in the mail. Instead, we could just go on and find their name on the Chick-fil-A One app portal and say, send you a free meal to make up for the fact that we missed that.
Nice. And that's, I mean, I think everyone has a Chick-fil-A story, at least a while back. I guess it's done more through the app, but if you waited more than like 3 minutes in the drive-thru, they're just starting to hand out free chicken sandwiches by the time you get to the window. And that was just a huge thing because so many companies make that mistake. So many independent contractors and things like that make the mistake of just not owning their mistakes and saying, hey, yes, that's totally my fault, and here you go. And because they're worried about the immediate cost, they're not thinking about that downstream revenue they're missing out on from a disgruntled employee. And real quick, you guys mentioned those surveys you do and like how many people are brand new to Chick-fil-A. But those in the corporate world, it's called an NPS score. And Chick-fil-A is like the standard for like corporate customer satisfaction. Chick-fil-A is like one of the gold standard companies on that score because their score is just always knocking it out.
And I don't know who does this survey, but you guys just won America's favorite fast food restaurant again. Do you know who does that?
QSR is is one that we're on a lot. Quick service restaurant. It's an industry magazine.
Just came out a couple days ago, right?
Yeah. Very recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. So let's go to some other of these questions from the interwebs here. How many employees do you average during one shift, and do you employ anyone full time?
Yeah. So at our location, which is like pretty much an average location in terms of like customer, like sales volume, we would like on the 12 to 1, like the busiest hour of the day, we would typically have between 22 and maybe 26 people on the clock for that hour. So that's like kitchen all the way up to the dining room, drive-through. And as far as full-time goes, I want to say I have about 15 people that work like 35 hours a week or more out of that like 70 or 75 people.
Are there do benefits come into play when people are at that level? So
I have 6 people that work for me that are directors. They're like top level leaders. Okay. So they each kind of run a specific area of the business: kitchen, drive-through, training, operations, hospitality, marketing, and HR, people development.
Okay.
Each of those people I pay like full ride for their health insurance for that person individually. So they don't pay anything for their health insurance, and they all work full time. Like they're required to work a minimum of 30 hours to be 30 hours a week to be on that.
I had no idea. That is news to me. So there's full-time positions. Even, I mean, these are degreed. These could be degreed.
Yeah, I've got 3 people that have 3 people that have college degrees, and one that, or the other 3 that are on that team are in college right now. But I mean, really, there's opportunities at Chick-fil-A in the top level leadership at a single location, working for an owner operator to make 6 figures. I mean, like you can have a career job at a Chick-fil-A at an individual Chick-fil-A location.
Very cool.
Wow. So speaking of those people you hire, so many questions about why is Chick-fil-A so nice? How are they so much? I mean, it's not even close. The next restaurant, fast food type establishment is quick service. The next one is
fast
like
food. It's okay.
The last one is light years below you guys as far as the experience that the customer has interacting with your employees. So how do you guys get there? How do you get these people? Because you're pulling from the same community. How do you get them to the level you need?
Yeah, I mean it's like this thing that you just kind of have to pour into to get going. Like in the beginning, it's hard to get great people. People come and you interview people and you make decisions. Like those 75 people that I hired, 9 of them are still with me. The 75 people that I hired in the beginning, 9 of them are still with me 5 years later. But that's a pretty big number. But that means 66 of them are not with me. And I would say like at least half of that group left within the first couple months. So it's a really tough thing, but like I try to hire the right people and then invest in that culture. And I spend a lot of time there. I mean, I'm interacting with those people. I do the interviews with each person. I ask them questions that I want to know because it's my responsibility to protect that culture and protect those people that are working there. My old boss always said he wanted his restaurant to be a place where he would be excited for his daughter to work. And I've kind of taken on that same motto to say, I want this to be a place where people are going to be encouraged and uplifted. They're not going to ever feel like uncomfortable or like that something's going on that shouldn't be happening. So, you have to say no sometimes to people who might seem like they'd be a good fit, but aren't going to be a good fit. I think, we look a lot when we're trying to make the decision about who we're going to hire, we look at character, competency, and chemistry, those three things when we're making a decision about who we're going to select. And, characters, like who that person is, like, are they friendly and caring? Are they the type of person that like really enjoys serving people? Do they have a smile? Do they, interact well? Do they seem like, we check references, like, do they have people that will say good things about them? Competency is, are they just going to be able to do the job? So like, can they lift heavy boxes? Can they stand on their feet for a while? Can they learn how to make different items? Maybe they have some restaurant experience, maybe they don't, but even some of these kids that have zero work experience, I don't hire anybody who has no like experience. Meaning like if a 16-year-old or an 18 or 20-year-old comes to me and says, hey, I want to get a job. And they're like, well, I graduated high school and I'm going to college, but they've never done anything. Like they've never been responsible to someone for getting something done. A lot of times that person's not going to get a job with me because I hire people all the time who don't have official work experience, but they've at least done something. They've tried to do something around their neighborhood. They help in some way with their family or like a family business or something like that. And then chemistry is just how well are they going to fit in with what I want our restaurant to be, and with the team that already exists. So are they going to be able to jump in and hit the ground running with this team, or is there going to be some difficulties? Like how do they speak? How do they carry themselves? Are they someone who pursues excellence and they're always challenging themselves to get better? Because that's the kind of people that my team's made up of. And honestly, it's a disservice to my team and a disservice to that person if I bring somebody onto our team who doesn't have that drive for excellence, because they hold our team back and then they just kind of get like pushed to the wayside. So really, like we're looking for people who have a lot of, even in a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid, who have a lot of drive and determination to do a great job and really challenge themselves to be the best they can be.
Yeah. Talk about how you keep such an amazing culture. Like it's your employees. I've heard you describe it as like, it's a family. You come to work for Chick-fil-A. It's like, I don't know, being with your family. Talk about work environment so positive that everyone loves working there.
Yeah, I mean, it is really like a family. And when I'm interviewing a new person, I talk to them about family, and especially when they get started and I'm doing orientation, I talk about how it's a family and how we really care for each other. I mean, we do a lot of different things. Like August 11th, I'm taking the whole team to Six Flags. It's a Sunday, so since we're closed on Sundays, we have this awesome opportunity to be able to do things as a group. And it's totally voluntary. Like I'm paying for them to go to Six Flags if they want to go, but they don't have to go. So I think we're taking a group of maybe 30 or so. I'd have to look at the final numbers, to Six Flags for a day. Chick-fil-A offers the scholarship where, like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you work at Chick-fil-A during college, you can get a scholarship. It's $2,500, and you can get that up to 4 times. So if you go to a traditional like 4-year college and you work at Chick-fil-A all 4 years, you're going to get $10,000 toward your education just because you worked at Chick-fil-A and you are in college while you're working. There even are like a select group of people that get $25,000 every year. There's like, I can't remember how many they gave away, but it's a decent amount. So there's lots of little perks like that. So I think people sometimes ask about like, well, they must pay really well. And yeah, I mean, we do pay above industry standard. I would say like, I don't have like any specific numbers for like my location specifically, but I know that anybody who starts with us, unless they're like brand new, like 14, 15, 16 years old, they're going to start out making like a couple dollars above minimum wage. Probably if they have any experience, it may be a little more than that. And like I said, there's opportunity for that to grow. But my goal is not to really focus on pay necessarily, but to kind of take pay off the table a little bit. Like if somebody's coming to try to get a job at a fast food restaurant in general, their expectation is that they're probably going to make minimum wage. Maybe if they have some experience, they'd make a little bit more, but they're probably expecting not to make too much. But if I can kind of like in that initial conversation when I offer them the job, take pay off the table by paying them significantly more than what they're expecting to pay, then it becomes less about how much they're making per hour and more about what they're getting themselves into. Because really in that initial time with that person, I talked to them about how much we care about Thousand Oaks, how much we care about our community and the corner that we sit on in Thousand Oaks. We want to make that area and our entire community better for us having been there. So we serve a great chicken sandwich. I mean, it's good food and we do it quickly and we keep the place clean. But it's not just about that. It's about giving back to our community and really like interacting with people and making our community a better place. So if I can kind of take pay off the table, then they can focus on the things that are really more important. I love to tell people that I hope they never have to ask me for a pay raise. And since I've been in Thousand Oaks, I've probably had 5 times where somebody sat down with me and said, "Hey, can I get a raise?" And I've either given it to them or not, or told them why or whatever. But most of the time, every 3 months, I'm skimming through our payroll and just looking and seeing where people are at and asking questions to the people that work with them most regularly to find out where they're at as far as performance goes. And is it time for them to get a pay raise? So, I mean,
that's so cool. And that offers, I mean, all of this stuff cycles on itself. You know, you're able to pay somebody more because you're investing in them more, which causes them to invest in the company, which causes the customer to have a better experience. And you guys can even close one day a week and still kill it on your per store revenue. And it's not even close to, you know, the other food service places.
Yeah, it's such a different model than, you know, so many other fast food places. You know, to have that kind of culture that you have to where people really genuinely love working there is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, talking about retention in general, because I know that was one of the questions that people were interested in. I mean, the industry standard for fast food is like 150% turnover. That means January 1st through December 31st, a typical fast food restaurant is going to turn over their staff entirely
Everyone.
1.5 times.
Wow.
So that means
that's amazing.
If somebody takes your order on January 1st, if somebody takes your order on January 1st, the odds of that person taking your order are negative. Like it's not going to happen in most places. And I just told you guys, I have 9 people that started with me 5 years ago that are still with me. So Chick-fil-A right now, like our 12-month number for turnover is less than half that. It's almost a third of that. My restaurant specifically, our turnover rate is 48, I believe, % for the 12-month, meaning like in the past 12 months, half of my staff has turned over.
Which for a fast food restaurant, man, that's incredible.
Yeah. It defies
especially
the
with
industry
just
standard.
The age group you're dealing with mostly.
Well, I have people that start working with me when they're 16 and then they go to school locally. Like we have 2 universities, California, like state universities that are within driving distance. And then we have a community college. And so I have people that start with me when they're 16 and then they're not ready to move on until they're, 22, 23 years old.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah, let's get to some more of these questions here. So we had questions specifically about the drive-thru, because have you ever been to a Chick-fil-A? Look, if there's a long line, you just don't even care.
No, I don't care.
You know, if it wraps around the building, no one cares because they know I'm going to get through that line in like under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Usually. Yeah. Right. So talk to us about the percentage of business that you do drive-thru versus in-store and how all that works and why in the world do you have 1 million people working that drive-thru?
So there's one window in a drive-thru, right? Like there actually are some locations that have two. Like if you go to a few different locations, they might have a second one. But a vast majority of Chick-fil-A locations have one window. All the food comes out of that window essentially. But most Chick-fil-A's are doing 60% plus of their business through that one. So if they've got 5 cash registers on the front counter and one in the drive-thru, 60% of the business is going
over
through that
half
one.
the business goes to the drive-thru.
Wow.
And depending on the community, it could be even more. Like ours most of the time knocks on the door of like 65, 70% at our, because we're one of the only drive-thrus really close in like a mile radius. There's only 2 and we're one of those 2. It's where there's money to be made. So that's where we're going to throw people to try to make it as efficient as possible. And like you said, if you'll jump in the line, even when it's really long, and it's only very rarely that you're like disappointed in that decision. Most of the time you're like, that was the right decision.
Right.
It was faster than parking and going inside and waiting and then coming back out. I mean, that's awesome. So yeah, we put people outside. We have some really like specific guidelines that each Chick-fil-A location comes up with. Like there's this app that OSHA makes, like a heat index app that tells you in your current location, based on location, how hot is it and what are the conditions and what should you do accordingly. So in my location, my drive-thru director came up with a specific rotation plan based on if it's minimal risk, which is OSHA says like everybody can work outside, no problem. If it's low, some people might have some issues, medium, high, extreme, whatever. She has a different setup for who works in the drive-thru and how the rotation goes based on what that app says. So most of the time, because I'm in Southern California, it's like
It's pretty hot.
super low to moderate. No, it is hot. There are some times where it's hot, but where we live, it's like 75 degrees most of the time. So we don't have a lot of issues.
Not like here. Yeah.
But yeah, like here, I just came through the Chick-fil-A today and there was a air conditioner in this like little tent. The lady that was taking payment was standing next to an outside air conditioner. I was like, that's great. That's nice. They had a shelter over everybody.
It's been interesting seeing the progression here is, a couple years ago, we first started seeing people outside with the iPads taking orders. And then now our closest Chick-fil-A just got remodeled to put some shade over it so that the employees can have some shade to work out there a little longer.
I would love to have that. They're rolling those out like across the country. I'd love to be able to have one of those. It's awesome.
Well, cool. I like this one because I've done it. I want to ask if someone has to complain at Chick-fil-A, which there should almost never be a reason. But if someone does have to complain, what's the best way to go about that? Let me tell you how I did it and ask your opinion. So I've only ever done it once at a Chick-fil-A. There was a young gentleman at the drive-thru taking orders in the morning, and he was just foul. Like he just had a horrible attitude. Didn't do any of the pleasantries.
I thought you were saying he like smelled bad.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't get
that's
a good
another
sniff.
story.
Yeah, no, his attitude was bad. And he kind of like just put a damper. That's hard to do for me because I usually don't care. But he was making everybody miserable. And it grinded on me because I was like, this is not acceptable for Chick-fil-A. It's so weird that, that's how ingrained in this culture like we can get. It's because I'm like, that is not Chick-fil-A standards. I was like upset about it. So I'm steaming in the drive-thru.
Yeah, if you were McDonald's, you wouldn't think of it.
Yeah.
Well, I would be circling back to get them to get me the rest of my order if I was at McDonald's. But so as I'm leaving the drive-thru, I call the location. I just like dialed them up, and I was like, "Can I speak to a manager?" And nice lady picks up, and I was like, yo, and I'm not going to say his name, but I got his name tag. I'm like, he is out there right now. And I was like, he is not in a good mood. I don't want to know what's going on. I was like, I never do this. I feel weird doing this, but someone needs to go talk to him at least or something. And she was super polite. She's like, thank you so much. Like, that means a lot. And I don't know. I didn't go back to check or anything, but I've seen him since multiple times. Great attitude.
Having a bad day.
Maybe he's having a bad day, or maybe you just need to be trained up a little bit, coached up. Anyway,
that's the right way. That's the right way to do it. I think a lot of time the worst situation is you have an experience and it's bad, and then you just kind of say, "Oh well," and you just go home and you don't say anything. That's the worst. Then slightly better than that is like posting like a Yelp review or something like that's slightly better, but still kind of rough because we didn't have the opportunity to correct it in the beginning.
Or going to the counter and like slamming your drink on the counter, because I did see that a few weeks ago at a Chick-fil-A. I was kind of shocked. Yeah.
you could call the corporate line, like the Chick-fil-A cares number. You can go on Chick-fil-A and report the issue.
Okay.
That gets emailed directly to the owner, and then they can forward it on to whoever in the restaurant needs it. That's always a good way to do it. But honestly, the way you did it's the best. Or if you're in person, you can walk up and explain. But man, I mean, thank you guys for being that type of customer, because honestly, like the reason we're able to be as good as we're able to be is because there are so many people that love us that they see something like that and they're like, this isn't supposed to be happening. Yeah. I need to tell them because this is Chick-fil-A and it's supposed to, like, we thrive on that. If we can have people that are, like we say, we want to provide these experiences for people that cause them to tell their family and friends about it. If we can have people that also are like have our backs and say, when something's going great, I'm going to tell you, like, this was awesome. I'm going to broadcast that to all my family and friends. That's great. But when something doesn't go right, I'm going to tell you guys because I know you wouldn't want it to be that way. And we wouldn't. And I guarantee you at whatever Chick-fil-A you go to, there's somebody just like me who wants you to come and say, that person wasn't quite up to the standard that I normally would expect. Now, don't be weird about it. Like if they just were like kind of had a slight frown or something. Right. But if you had a situation like that, or you were missing your fries from your order, like that owner is invested in that community and that's like his reputation, his or her reputation. So when you come and say something about what happened and you tell that person, they're able to sort of recover that experience and it benefits them.
Well, I feel like every employee, not every, but I feel like a lot of employees are invested in it because I've never had to complain at Chick-fil-A and it's so rare that I have an issue. But the one time that comes to mind was they forgot to put a straw in my bag, and that drives me crazy. But so I parked my car and I got out and I went inside and I grabbed a straw, and a woman behind the counter saw me do that. And as I'm walking out, I heard her say, like, kind of yell out, "We forgot a straw in the drive-thru." And so, like, there is no other fast food place on the planet that they would pick up on that. Like, it was amazing.
I sit out on the patio at our restaurant a lot, and I'm doing interviews or having meetings, and I see, like, every day I see somebody busting out the door and jogging to a car like, "You forgot your change." "Ma'am, sir." Like, it really is amazing.
That's great.
All right, Joshua, talk to us about what is the best thing about being an owner operator of a Chick-fil-A?
I mean, I have my dream job. Like, I say that all the time. Like, I will do this for the rest of my life. I've been with Chick-fil-A for 20 years. I'm 35 years old.
Wow.
I will be with Chick-fil-A until I retire. I have this opportunity to provide gainful employment for a big group of people. Right now it's 75. My expectation is over the years that will continue to grow, and not just provide employment for those people, but I get to have like a one-on-one relationship with each of those people and really, like, for some reason, like, because I'm the owner operator of that business, like, they seem to like take stock in what I have to say. And so I have this opportunity to like speak into people's lives. I see these kids come in 14, 15, 16 years old, and I see them off to like college, or I see them off to other careers, or some of them I see them off to like, a career with Chick-fil-A. And I just get to see them like grow and know that I was able to play a part in that. Being able to, like, over the years, see people go into these incredible professions, they're able to help a lot of people out, is really, really amazing. The opportunity that I get to have in the community to just make a difference, whether it's, on July 1st, we're feeding the homeless from our Chick-fil-A. There's this organization that feeds the homeless every day, but this specific week of 4th of July, they don't have enough staff to get the food ready because of people being out of town. So we donate the food. It's just a really cool opportunity to be able to help the community. We do lots of things like that. Yeah, I mean, it really is, it's an amazing job. I mean, the schedule flexibility, I get to kind of build the restaurant how I want to build it, so I can hire the people that I want to hire and create the positions that I want to create so that I can have whatever level of flexibility I want to have. So I can be here in Georgia when my restaurant's operating, 2,000
awesome.
miles away.
That's awesome.
All right, a question from one of our sponsors, our show sponsors, 1776 United. This would be a quick one. What is your favorite Chick-fil-A meal?
I just always go back to the original chicken sandwich and fries. It's so hard to beat. You've got that like, buttered toasted bun with the 2 pickles and the hand breaded chicken. I mean, it's just so good.
It's classic.
For breakfast, I'm always going for an egg white grill. It's kind of like a healthy option. If you haven't had it, you should get it. I know everybody's like chicken biscuit.
I haven't had that. I might
egg
have to
white
try
grill.
it.
It's 300 calories. It's a great breakfast option.
Yeah, well, we might have to have you back on the show, maybe later on down the road at some point, because we actually still had questions.
We've only scratched the surface.
We really
got
have.
a lot of questions.
We really have. But that's going to be it for now. We are going to take a quick break, but when we get back, what does Tesla have to do with operating a Chick-fil-A?
This episode is sponsored by 1776 United. 1776 United is a patriotic and historically inspired lifestyle brand. They make the best patriotic shirts and apparel on the market today. I personally own many of their products, and if you want to don patriotic gear without looking gaudy, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and at 1776united.com. Okay, so for the bonus segment, Josh, we all know and our listeners want to know an additional perk of being a successful owner-operator of a Chick-fil-A has to do with something called the Symbol of Success Award. Can you explain what that is and explain what it entails?
Yeah, I mean, Chick-fil-A, I think we've made this pretty clear, but Chick-fil-A is just an incredibly generous company. So you've got Chick-fil-A operators that are generous, but the company is very generous with us as well. So this one perk that they offer is if you increase your sales calendar year over previous calendar year, 18% or more, Chick-fil-A buys you a car. Now it's a different tier,
like a car,
a straight up like the title in the mail. Like you own the car.
Nice.
So there are different tiers that go like different dollar amounts based on how much you're up, but the entry level is 18% over your previous calendar year. Now, I think I do a pretty good job at my restaurant, but I'm not going to lie and say like right place, right time for California for me. But we just last year won that award for the third year in a row.
Nice.
And we are halfway through this year, tracking to hit it again for 2019.
So talk to us about the cars that you got.
So the first car I got was a Model S Tesla, and it was the bottom of the line Tesla Model S because the amount of money that I had from Chick-fil-A to spend on it. You can add your own money. I had to pay a little bit extra.
Are they giving you a selection of cars to choose from or just dollar amounts? Or
no, it's a dollar amount. So they write the check, they wire the money to the dealership.
Okay.
Once you've wheeled and dealed and you've got the whole deal, you say, actually, I'm not paying that. Chick-fil-A is going to wire you the money right now.
That's awesome.
So I got a Tesla Model S. It was a 60, which they don't make that one anymore, but it's the smallest battery.
Yeah,
it had
it's one of the first. Right?
200. It had a 200-mile range on that battery. The second year I won it was my wife's turn to get the free car. So she got a Ford Flex, which she already had a Ford Flex, but she upgraded to a 2019, which was the last year they made a Ford Flex, in case you guys didn't know. And then last year I won, and I was able to sell the original Model S that I got, and I got another Tesla, but I got the new one, the Model 3. I got the performance version, which is pretty stinking fast.
Yeah, I heard about those. So how does it work? Do you have 3 cars? Sounds like with 3 cars, you might be making things confusing for Chick-fil-A. So how do they? Yeah,
so they made this. They changed that program the year that I won it. They changed it to where they buy the car outright. This program's been going on since the 70s, where Truett would buy cars for people who had a certain sales increase. But it used to be a 1-year lease on any Ford vehicle. And then you could purchase that car from Chick-fil-A because they bought it. You could purchase it from Chick-fil-A for half the retail value.
Oh, wow.
They changed it the year I won and just said it's a check for whatever car you want.
Wow.
So end of this year, hopefully we'll have 4. But yeah, I sold the first one. We will sell Mallory's Flex. I'm not going to have 3 cars. I have no reason to have 3 cars. Some people would have maybe have a fun car or something, but my Tesla is super fun, so I don't need a fun car. Yeah.
And are there any requirements that come with having that car? Like that you have to put a sticker on it. Like what are we talking?
Yeah. So for 3 years, you have it says Chick-fil-A award winner. You could choose black, gold, or silver, and it's just an emblem that goes on the side.
Okay.
If you guys have ever seen a car riding around and it says Chick-fil-A award winner, that person owns a Chick-fil-A, or that person's spouse maybe owns a Chick-fil-A and has won that award in the past, which there were a lot actually in Atlanta this past year. So you may see a few even here driving around.
All right. That's the only requirement to drive your paid for car.
I mean, guess like be a kind driver. I don't know. And there's no real restrictions, but maybe if you were involved in some kind of high speed chase or something, you might get in trouble.
Yeah, you got to watch how you drive with that Chick-fil-A logo on the side of your car.
Yeah, I get a lot of like points and stares and people always, I see them mouthing like Chick-fil-A, what? As I'm driving by.
All right. Well, that's about going to do it for us, you guys. So, Josh, again, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Like I said, we'll probably have you on again, maybe in the future. But I hope you UCAN listeners really enjoyed this segment. What one man can do, you can do as well. So now you know how to become a Chick-fil-A owner operator if you ever wanted to do that. Please take some time to share this episode. We really love to start getting a lot more listeners. And if you have a moment, please take some time to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out our show notes at ucanman.com and check out our Instagram page as well. We'll see you next time.